Hello, welcome to Stream Like Woe. You will probably be hearing me battle with Hastings throughout this stream because he is just in quite a mood tonight. Buddy, I just love you so much, but if you could leave that alone, I would be so thankful. Welcome. Standard disclaimers is, hold please, we're gonna have to deal with this blind because it's just making him crazy. Those of you who are fellow cat parents, I'm sure, are spending your holiday season trying to keep them from, destroying your decorations and generally wreaking havoc upon your home. Okay, standard disclaimers. If you are watching this on replay, give me some time to finish editing description and to fix the ads because sometimes they just are getting out of control because of our technology overlords. And yeah, tonight is kind of juicy and kind of me like having, I don't know, like group, like community town hall talk, like me thinking through or talking to you guys about things that I've been thinking about for a while. So anyway, we'll get into it in just a second. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you are also having a wonderful day. I'm feeling okay. I'm trying to be good about, conserving energy, but yeah, I'm tentatively feeling like maybe some of my treatment stuff is working, so that's exciting. Hello. Yeah, I didn't even put up a tree this year because I just could not even conceptualize or like contemplate having to fight them about it all the time. Yeah, but the answer here is, didn't you just put it up for them? Clearly it's for them. Come on. Yes, I hope everyone is doing well. Oh my goodness, that sounds like a lovely evening. Hello, hello. Hello to Indonesia. Wow. Okay, so as per the title, tonight is a little bit juicy. I'm trying not to approach this, like I'm not approaching this as a tea video, not to disparage tea videos, because if you watch me, you know that I live for some drama, I live for some tea. In fact, in my description, I should have a link to Jess Owens, who has been making Booktube tea videos that I've been very much enjoying. And some of her videos were part of what prompted this discussion. So this isn't meant to be tea. This is meant to be me musing about like having an existential Booktube crisis with you as a group chat existential Booktube community crisis time. Because I think I've had this moment of realization recently that about basically just how much I've grown this year. If you don't know, before this year started, I was under 10,000 subscribers, and I'm at somewhere in the 20s now, which means I've more than doubled in 2020, which is great. I think, though, I've been musing on like what are some of the responsibilities of having that level of platform within our niche of YouTube, and kind of where I think I need to be more deliberate about using that platform, especially because, at least right now, I do have this way to chat with you guys live once a week. So ultimately where we're going in this chat is that I want to talk about what's been happening with Sasha Alsberg, but also I want to rewind and talk about what happened this summer with the reading rush, because I talked about that on my Instagram stories, but I didn't talk about it on this channel, and it's still bothering me months later. And so I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about why I think it's important for creators of a certain size within the community to talk about these things publicly and not just amongst ourselves, and like what are the criteria by which we choose when to talk about these things publicly and when not to. So I'll catch up here real quick. Oh, God bless you, Amanda. That sounds like a handful. Hello to Germany. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, friend. Do you happen to be Turkish? I feel like this may be a Turkish name. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong. Yes, okay. They're being filmed and they are scheduled. They're starting to get scheduled. So I think you'll get the first one on Thursday. Yes, I've got some Christmas lights. That's about it. Hello to Sydney. Yes, I definitely recommend checking out Jess Owens. I've been enjoying her tea content, but I've also started watching just her other booktube content. She's so funny. I think she just has a lovely personality that comes across really well. So I definitely recommend her. Oh yeah, the Goodreads winners. Lovely. Yes, okay, lots of love for Jess. Definitely recommend her. Like I said, I have the video, one of her videos in particular, linked below. Yeah, I think she does a nice job of being funny, but not getting too wild. Oh, well, yay. Viva le Project Poirot. Yes, we're going to talk about the reading rush because it's still bothering me. Yes, I'm going to give a summary, but part of why I linked Jess's video is because if you want the full receipts on both of these situations, she has videos going into the receipts, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to talk about kind of my thoughts and responses to it. Yes, I agree. I'm also still upset about it. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah. The other thing, Jess is now doing us all a community service because if you are not following things on book Twitter, which I am terrible about it, I always have to DM my friend Joshana and be like, girl, what is happening right now? Fill me in. Jess has got you. She's got a once a week recap. And if you miss anything, you just go right there and get your weekly, pot of tea. It's great. Yes, she is. This is just a Jess Love Fest. She's great. Chelsea, I love your channel. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. And I'm missing your rainbow vlogs. Yeah, there's also the Jessica Cluess stuff, which I'm not going to get into because that's an author thing and I'm wanting to talk about Booktube tonight, but yeah. Okay, so first, where we're ultimately going. I want to start by talking about like where my head's been at with some of this and like some of the internal thoughts I've been having. So if you watch me, you know that I definitely believe in what I would like to describe as accountability culture. I think that part of the strength of social media and the age of connectivity we live in is the ability for us to more directly provide feedback to large entities that have a faux pas at best and an actual just like show your ass at worst. So I believe in accountability culture. I believe, and I don't just believe in that online, I believe that in my real life. Like if you work with me, you definitely know I believe in accountability culture. I believe in saying when I'm wrong and saying sorry. And I believe in and letting other people know when they're messing up or if I have criticism, and I hope that they can receive that well. Like, I think that's how we grow. I think that is something that's really important. Something I have struggled with in Booktube is that we don't have a very large community, right? Like compared to other parts of YouTube, we're just not that big. Like our biggest creators are in the hundreds of thousands versus in most other communities, their biggest creators are in the millions. So there's a way that Booktube feels very, small and interconnected in a way that's wonderful. Like I love that I feel, pretty comfortable chatting with some of our biggest creators and like, it doesn't, I don't know, like I think that there's more of a communal vibe in Booktube than many other parts of YouTube. Now, is it perfect? Of course it's not. And frankly, the longer I'm on here and the more people I know, the more I realize that it is not perfect. And like, frankly, there are things that probably most people don't know about and shouldn't, I don't know if they should or shouldn't, but like, it would ruin Booktube for you if you knew some of the things that go on behind the scenes. So like, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I do think that in general, what I have enjoyed about the way that Booktube tends to operate is that there is a level of like collegiality and, you know, interconnected community. And I think that that's wonderful. I think what at times though that prevents from happening is addressing the reality that some of our community members are no longer engaged just in Booktube as a hobby, but it also exists for them as a business or a brand. There is this nebulous gray space, and I definitely fall into this now with the size that I'm at, where this is definitely my hobby. If you compared what I make from YouTube versus what I make in my real job, I think it'd be very clear that I am doing YouTube for the love of the sport. Like it's, you know, I appreciate that income. It kind of, it feels validating, frankly, and like, you know, helps me get a camera. And, you know, subsidizes my book buying habit. So like, I appreciate that money, but Booktube is a hobby for me. There are some people in our community for whom Booktube is a meaningful portion of their income, which I think is wonderful. Like, I love that. I wish that anybody who wanted to create a Booktube channel could make a living from it. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? So it's not, I don't have a problem with that. I do think though what that can create is this space where most of us are engaging on the level of friend. And there are some people in our communities who are big enough that they are not just community members, they are also basically a business trying to sell something to the rest of the community, be that a book, be that their brand as a YouTuber, be that merch, whatever. And once that gets introduced, it does create a slightly different dynamic. We also could pause here and go on a whole like critique of capitalism and parasocial relationships, and the book I read recently, How to Do Nothing, talking about how all of our time is commoditized. Like there's a whole philosophical jaunt we go down at this point, which I'm not gonna do right now, but it does, there's just this weird dynamic at play. And I think I've found it challenging to figure out how to appropriately think of other booktubers as both community members and to some degree as colleagues or coworkers. It's a weird, and actually my name is Marines has a great chain on this. She had a good phrasing of it at some point. There's just this space between the professional and the hobby as a booktube creator that is difficult. And I have linked Mari's live stream she did on Friday night where she was talking about some of the stuff as well, which I thought was a great discussion with her and Daddy Page. I really enjoyed hanging out in there, and they were talking about a lot of this stuff too. So that's where my head's been at conceptually, of just like, okay, I see some things happening, and it's, if this was just us like friends, like if we were actually all still in high school the way we act sometimes, if this was just friends, I would really want to handle this on an interpersonal level. However, there are some of us who I think are still at that level, and then some of us who are acting more like a business. And if it was a business, I would approach this differently. The other thing that kind of kicked this all off for me this week was I was watching Smokey Glow did an interview with Manny MUA and kind of revisiting his perspective now on Dramageddon. And it made me think about the parallels between other parts of YouTube and Booktube. And what I've realized is that part of why I have been giving somewhat of a pass to our big creators is that they are not nearly as big as actual big YouTubers. So they don't have nearly as many subscribers as like the big fishes in the rest of YouTube. But the reality is we do have people within Booktube who are household names, which is a weird thing to say. Like if you follow Booktube, there are people whose name you probably know. And it's because they have transcended that level of just being kind of a hobbyist to having some level of a business on Booktube. So all that to say, I think something that I have been mulling on is that I no longer exist really within Booktube as a small creator anymore. Again, I think I've been having a hard time getting my mind around that because in the scheme of YouTube, I am a tiny creator. Like, you know, you have people with 20 million subscribers or whatever, like I'm a peon compared to that. But within Booktube, once you hit into the 20s, you're really a mid-sized creator. Like you know, I'm trying to think in other communities. I don't know who would be ubiquitous to other communities, so maybe that doesn't help. I'm like, oh, this person, and this person. But like, I'm a mid-sized creator. And so I actually, within Booktube, have a pretty decent sized platform. And I try to be careful and deliberate about how I use that. You know, I think I try to do that within my videos. I try to do that on my other social platforms and thinking through what I retweet and what I talk to you guys about on my Insta stories or whatever. Like, I try to be thoughtful about that. But I think for a long time, I have felt kind of in this nebulous space between being a small creator who kind of is just saying things out into the void and won't really change much, and then also having enough of a platform that I do want to have some care about what I do choose to say or to not say. With that being said, I want to talk about why I feel like what happened this summer with the reading rush and Ariel Bissett and what is recently happening with Sasha Alsberg and the ARC stuff, to me, I think have been good triggering events of like, I have enough of a platform within our community that I need to say something about this because I think that this is important conversation that needs to keep going. And I'm going to pause here and catch up with comments real quick. Let's see here. Yeah, and this is part of why I want to talk about this. I think if you're not super in the community, maybe you haven't heard this, but I don't know. It's hard because I know that there's some people who just want to watch my channel for just the book stuff. But I do, as a creator, have this deep sense of like community. I mean, I talk to somebody who I know from Booktube every day. Like every day I'm talking to somebody I know from Booktube. So I do have a real sense of like community within it. I don't know. We'll get into it, but yeah. Well, then go check out Jess. She can give you a little recap. Yeah. Jess, yeah, I think Jess has gotten promoted more in the algorithm recently. We'll get into this reading rush stuff. Twitter, I don't recommend dwelling in Twitter. I've recently taken to TikTok as my scrolling app of choice, and I've got all these cats on my For You page, and it's wonderful. Yeah, I'm not gonna spill like secret tea because that's a whole other thing, but just like as with any other community that involves human, like it's messy. Like there's always mess. Yeah, I think that's really well said, Derek. I do think of Booktube as being very relational. And therefore I tend to would want to handle things on a relational level, but I think sometimes it sort of transcends it. Well, and I don't think, I mean, again, it's people, so people are dramatic and that's why, but, and I mean, I think relative to other communities, Booktube has a lot less drama, but I think what I've been coming to is like the drama we do have, those of us with enough of a platform to say something about it, like we kind of need to do that. Yes, I definitely recommend the live stream with Mounty Ness. I've got that linked in the description, and I thought it was a really good conversation. Yes, Daddy Page for the win. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it is. It's a weird feeling because you're aware of like, okay, well, in the scheme of things, like 20,000 is actually nothing. It's so small. But on Booktube, it's like, it is mid-size. I kind of, at this point, I think of mid-size as being like roughly 10 to 15,000 to roughly 50,000. If you have that size on Booktube, you have a pretty decent sized platform, actually. And part of the distinction I'm thinking of is I think that there's the big booktubers, so people between like, let's say 50 and 100. So I don't know, like Thoughts on Tomes or Jean Bookish Thoughts or I think Elliot Brooks is in that range. But then you have like these mega, like really big booktubers like Books and Lala and Just the Reader and Murphy Napier and like, you know, there's maybe 10 of them, Emma Books, Haley and Bookland. Like there's a group of them who really are the biggest creators who if you're aware of kind of the community aspect, pretty much everybody at least knows who you're talking about. And I think I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, okay, if somebody is a big or a mega creator, I think we have to be able to talk about these things publicly, because I just think we kind of do. Like that's how it works in every other YouTube community. And I think Booktube has sort of reached a growth point where I think we're at a tipping point where we have to not always deal with things relationally, which is good. And like, it sucks. It does mean that the community is growing, which I think is cool. Anyway, we'll get there here in just a second. Yeah, that's the thing. Naming names has been a taboo, and that's where I want to default to that, honestly, in most cases. But I think for some of these really big booktubers, like I'm trying to challenge myself to be more willing to kind of name names. Yeah. Jess Owens is the creator I'm talking about. Good. I'm glad you enjoy it. Yes, Jess Owens. Oh my gosh, that Nora Roberts takedown. It was glorious. Deborah did not see that coming. Yes. Yeah, I think that's true from Book Twitter. Okay, so the actual tea I wanted to talk about, or the situation. So the most recent one is this situation that's happening right now with Sasha Alsberg. And there's a few different controversies. I'm not going to get into the signature gate because I don't even know what to think about that. The two things I want to talk about is, one, that during this pandemic, she is traveling a lot between London and Boston. And she is an influencer, and she is, with her mouth, saying one thing and appears to, with her actions, being kind of doing something different. And then selling ARCs. So we'll start with the pandemic thing because it's what I feel most emotional about, and I just kind of want to get through it. I get people have legit urgent reasons why they need to travel. And on a one-off basis, yes, you individually can probably find a way to travel reasonably safely. The problem is if everybody does that, if everybody's like, oh, I think I can do this, we get the situation we had over Thanksgiving here in the US where there are completely crowded airports. It's not any individual one person, it's what we do collectively. And we all have to collectively make hard choices. And there's a whole structural thing here with our government. Like it's a whole thing. But to be an influencer who is traveling and taking kind of like lifestyle vlogging pictures during a pandemic, I think is on its face irresponsible. I feel very emotional and passionate about this because my father was immunocompromised and he died because somebody gave him the flu who should have stayed at home, and he died of H1N1. And I watched him die in a hospital. I was lucky enough to actually be able to go to the hospital to be with him while he died. It is not a peaceful way to die from a respiratory illness. And you may be fine, but you don't know who may not be fine. So I just have very little space for us being anything other than compliant with what we are being told, which is, if you do not have to leave the house, don't. And I'm also probably touchy about this because I am currently immunocompromised. I'm being treated for an autoimmune disease, and I am on drugs that suppress my immune system. And I live alone. I have to go to the grocery store once a week. That is the only time I leave the house, is to go to the grocery store and to go to the doctor. And I personally am dependent on other people being responsible and restricting community spread. So I am sure that there's no malice or ill will. Like I'm sure here's the problem. Everybody wants to think of themselves as responsible people. So it's like, oh, I'm being responsible about the way I'm doing this. But if you make all of these little choices, it adds up into not being a responsible situation. And I just think anybody with a platform, anybody who's watching this who has any level of influence or a platform, I ask that you very seriously consider what you are modeling to the people who follow you, because it matters. Booktube is not the most egregious part of social media taking part in this. Like, if you follow anything having to do with like the Hype House and all of that BS in LA, like bless you out in LA. Like, I don't even know. But I'm not saying this is the worst. And again, I'm not trying to ascribe ill intention, but there's just a reality about what it means to choose. I think she's moving to London, which is great for her. There's a reality about choosing to do that, how you can consolidate the number of trips that you are taking, actually quarantining when you get to the place you're going and not traveling all around and taking pictures all around. Like, there are choices you have, and I think that there has to be accountability, even in our small part of the internet, to behave responsibly in the middle of a pandemic. So that one gets me real worked up, and so I'm just going to leave that there. I'll catch up with comments here real quick. Yeah, it's fun. If it's fun. If it's not fun for you, don't do things that are not fun. So it is real, I don't know, arcs in general. Mary Ness brought this up in her live stream. Physical arcs in general. Where's my hair going? I don't know. Physical arcs in general put people in a weird position because it's hard to figure out what to do with them. If it's a giveaway, I would think kind of not. Like, if there's no actual money changing hands, I usually take them to my used bookstore because there's a big free bin, so I can do that. Or I put them in my local little free library, or I give them to somebody who wants them. But it's just, it's kind of a weird gray area. Yes, yes. It's an inconsistent message. Yes, that's the other thing, is it's one, it's one thing if I'm a 33-year-old lady watching people, and like I have, a different perspective on things. But if you have like 15 and 16-year-olds who already, I think, have a little bit of a, well, I'm probably not going to get super sick mentality, like, it's just not a great look. Oh, that could be a whole other live stream, just like celebrating Nora. Yeah. Well, and yeah, I think I'm sure some of it was just what you have to do to travel. My problem, just for context, I believe Sasha is moving, or has now moved, from Massachusetts to London. From what I have seen, it sounds like, just looking on the outside looking in, when she is moving between countries, she is not quarantining properly, and B, she is also not staying in one place. She's like out and about, and that is part of the problem. Yes. Oh, I feel ya. I mean, of course, I wish my dad was alive, but honestly, if he was alive now, like, one of the blessings of him not being here is I think I would be absolutely stressed out just constantly, because, yeah, it's scary when someone you love is immunocompromised. Oh, yeah, that's, yeah. Oh, Mariana, I'm sending you good wishes. Yeah, hopefully that is going to be a good solution. Yeah, Yeah, I think most of us have somebody in their life who who's compromised. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dwell and be ghoulish, but like I do just want to be clear. Like I've seen somebody die of a respiratory issue, and like if you know if you're trying to breathe and you know you can't, that is not a peaceful feeling. That is like, I mean, you have to have like Valium because you're trying to breathe and you can't. I mean, it's not a peaceful way to die. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone, much less somebody I love. And it would not be a good feeling for me to feel like I had potentially made somebody else's family go through that. Yes, that's exactly right. It's a big reminder that we all are dependent on each other. Hey, Hastings, chill. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm sure some of that was necessary, but it doesn't seem like it. Could you not? Whew, these cats, man. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, good. That's wonderful. Yeah, we'll talk about, I think, some of the reasons why it's considered bad etiquette. Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's exactly right. If you sell an ARC, you're stealing a sell from the author. That is, and hi Alexa, by the way. Alexa's so close to 100,000, guys. Go follow her. Especially part of what I try to do is if I have an ARC and I need to pass it on, I do try to wait at least 6 months before I do that so that I'm not cannibalizing any potential sales. So if I take it to the used bookstore, I wait at least 6 months before I do that. So yeah, especially in a pandemic, selling an ARC is like not a cute look. Yeah, yeah, for real. Yeah, well, I don't think you should because honestly, it's real scary. I've seen your numbers. That being said, Tennessee has 10 of adjusted per capita. The top 20 cities on the rise in the U.S. are in Tennessee, so welcome. Yeah, that sounds very stressful. Yeah, little free libraries are a great way to pass your ARCs along if you have them. Okay, so there's that, and now that we've been talking about ARCs, I'll just get into that piece as well. So the other thing that Sasha is being called out for right now, Hastings, come on, buddy, help your mama out here. The other thing Sasha is being called out for is that there's some extensive documentation of the fact that she has been selling ARCs. As Alexa mentioned, part of the reason why you should not sell an ARC is because you are taking away a sale from an author. The other thing is that it creates this overall culture of people hoarding ARCs because they can become collector's pieces. And it just creates a secondary market, much like with anything that's sort of a limited edition, whatever. It creates a secondary market where people get taken advantage of. The buyers do, basically, because like you shouldn't, like, I know if people are willing to pay it, sure, I guess you can do that. But like, how ridiculous is it for if I receive an ARC, if Alexa sent me an ARC, and that ARC then I could sell it for $100 on the secondary market. Well, okay, now somebody is paying $100 to me who got something for free. So it's like, it's not even like I got up at, whatever butt crack early to buy something. I bought it in bulk and then I sold it on eBay, which is something you see with makeup a lot of times, where at least I've actually paid for it. You're not even paying for it. Like, it's something that you were given for free. So it is not illegal. That is something I've seen people say. It is not illegal to sell an ARC, but it is very frowned upon. It is bad etiquette. And you receive physical ARCs from publishers with the spirit of you having it for promotional purposes, not for you to make money off of. And the apology, I'm going to put a question mark at the end of that sentence, that I saw from Sasha was basically saying like, oh, I was just putting ARCs in things that I was selling as freebies. Well, this is part of why you need to go watch Jess's video. I can't swear that this is what happened, but there is there are posts that make it seem as if, sure, okay, maybe you weren't charging for the arc, but the price of the bundle that was being sold was very clearly derived from the inclusion of an arc. It would be the equivalent of if I was selling, you know, this ColourPop eyeshadow, which is retails for $6, and then I said, hey, I'm selling this, I'm throwing in my iPhone for free, so this ColourPop eyeshadow is $400. Like, you're not buying this bundle for the thing that is being marketed as what is for sale. You know, so most of the postings I saw were like that. And then there was one posting where it was entirely arcs that were being sold. So is selling an arc the worst thing that a booktuber can do? No, it's not. I mean, there's like, actually the next thing we're about to talk about, I think is much worse. But the problem is twofold. One, it again gets into this situation that we now find ourselves in with Booktube, where we're no longer just a relational community. We have community members who have basically a business and are leveraging parasocial relationships in a way that I think I'm not comfortable with if we're going to treat Booktube like a fun kiki hangout club. Like, there's young, I just think that it's not ethical, basically. And we all make lapses in judgment. I'm going to have to apologize for things on here at some point, I'm sure, because I'm human and I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to need to come back on here and say, like, guys, didn't think this one through. I am sorry. Here is why what I did was wrong. Here is what I'm doing to fix this. And here's what I learned from this and how I'm proceeding forward in the future. That is part of being a person, is being able to apologize sincerely and as needed, like when you mess up. That's just a part of being human. Part of the problem I have with the Sasha thing is that she gave what I consider to be a non-apology. It did not, to me, seem sincere, and did not, to me, seem to honestly reckon with the evidence of what had been put forward. So, again, we all mess up. To err is human, to forgive is divine. I'm somebody who believes in accountability culture, and I also believe, like, we have to have space for people to take accountability and to move forward in some way. Like, that's part of what, when I was watching that Manny MUA video with Smokey Glow, I was like, okay, you know what? He's stayed out of the drama the last few years, and he has shown that, like, he learned something from this, I think. Whether or not you want to support him is a different thing, but, like, there's at least an example of somebody who, you know, seems to have grown from mistakes that they made in the past. So I believe you have to have grace and a willingness to forgive, but you can't shortcut to that by just being like, I don't like this, so I shouldn't have to deal with it. That's not an apology, and that's not how you actually move forward. Okay, I have no idea where I am in the chat. So I'm gonna try to find something. Yeah. Well, and actually you're talking about the masking, but, like, this is also applies to the arc thing. Something you can technically do, but, like, you kind of know that you shouldn't. Selling books that publishers gave you for free. I don't think I don't know. I mean, I think it's a complicated thing. In general, if you get something for free, I think you need to think through how it leaves your possession, be it a gift or some sort of promotional thing. There's always ways to give books away, even in a pandemic. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, the apologies, I just don't think seem to, the anatomy of a good apology is demonstrating genuine understanding of why you're giving an apology, some semblance of a sincere conveyance of the fact that you are actually sorry, a demonstration of how you're going to fix the immediate situation, and an indication of how you're going to move forward in a positive way. To me, I did not see those components in the apologies that I saw. Maybe something has come out since I last checked in. Yeah, I was alone for Thanksgiving. I will be alone for Christmas. It's not my first choice, but it's the responsible thing to do for my own health and for the health of my community. And I'm going to be okay. Like, it doesn't make me like a sad old lady. It doesn't mean that like life is over. It just means that one holiday is a little weird. It's going to be fine. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Donate to book drives. There you go. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. That is true. Also, sometimes arcs are not like books materially change after they come out. So keep that in mind. Ooh. Oh, that is a bummer. Yeah, I don't know how other used bookstores work. The one that I go to has a bin out front that you can just put things in for free. So you can kind of like cut them out of the equation of being able to profit. But I agree that it's bad etiquette to sell arcs, but I don't understand wanting them unless you're a reviewer. It's often lower quality, usually unfinished version of a book. Often the reason why there can be this secondary market is that they're collector's items. So for instance, I recently mailed my friend Leanna a copy of the Raven Boys arc that I had gotten at BookNet Fest last year because I just realized I wasn't going to read it sometime soon. And it's considered to basically be like a collector's item. So that was me giving her something for free, something that will stay in her collection and that neither of us have profited off of. Actually, it cost me money because I mailed it to her. So, yeah, and I'm not even going to get into the whole forgery thing. If you would like to, like, go watch Jess's video because it'll give that. So yes, Jess has the receipts and yeah. Yes. And I mean, honestly, I'm going to give people some grace here because like, isn't that why most of us apologize in a lot of our life for things like, you know, I think that somewhat is human nature, but you know, if someone it checks you, that's an opportunity for you to have some introspection. No, I don't believe if she's living in a suburb of Boston that there's not a little free library around her that she could walk to and put them in there just fine. I did see that. It was also with a free arc, but then, so basically I saw one posting, and this is the one that really got me heated, was it literally in the same title says, oh, it's a free arc, but it's a very rare copy of an arc, which is why this overall bundle is priced this way. It's like, girl, who are we kidding right now? Okay. Whew, where are we? I'm so sorry, guys. I'm getting like all jacked up here in where we are in chat. Hey, Ashley. Yeah, that's the other part of why I wanted to talk about this. And I think that Marines talked about this really eloquently on Twitter. Jess also brings this up in her video. And I am a white booktuber, so I want to try and basically platform them and say, I agree with Ashley's comment. I agree with what those two creators said. And I do feel some level of responsibility as a white booktuber to try to correct for that somewhat. So yeah, we're about to talk about the part of the reading rush drama I feel like I can speak to with my whole chest. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, and Alexa, one thing that Mari Ness talked about is like, and I kind of, I mean, I do and don't. Like, it is nice. I would actually be interested in your perspective on this. It is nice for me to have a physical copy of an ARC because it shows up in my book haul. So like, that's an extra video that it shows up in. And like, you can take pictures that like there, I see the benefits of a physical ARC, but just in terms of like ecological sustainability and also all of this bullshit we're even talking about right now, it would be easier if people didn't send out physical ARC. So I don't know. I mean, and I get that not everybody has access to e-reading, so maybe that's an accessibility. Like, I see both arguments, but it does make me wonder, like, where is the kind of direction this is going? I don't know. Let's see here. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, guys. I'm officially, I think, giving up on trying to catch up on chat. Sorry. I will go back and read this now. Oh wait. Okay. No, I think I've got it. Okay. I have thoughts. Yep. We're about to get there. And yeah. Whew. Yeah. I mean, hey, people are saying spill. Ashley, I definitely welcome your thoughts, because yeah. Even if you just want to DM me your thoughts, I would enjoy hearing that. Oh, I'm sorry. we're our Amazon overlords are preying upon all of us even now. Oh, really? Oh, that is a bummer. I don't even know who that is, but wow. Yeah, it is tricky. I don't know. We'll see where pictures can be done with you. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So maybe we should just go ahead and get into the reading rush. So there's layers to the reading rush drama. Some of which I just don't feel like I don't even want to get into right now. Not even I don't want to, I just don't think I'm the right person to fully drill into it. There's like layers of drama with the reading rush. The part of the reading rush drama I would like to talk about that really is bothering me even to this day is the book club debacle with the reading rush. So the reading rush picked a community read as a part of the reading rush-a-thon. For those who don't know, the reading rush was a read-a-thon started by Ariel Bissett and Ray Lynn, who I believe used to be a booktuber but doesn't booktube anymore. I'm not sure. Like a while ago, I feel like 7 or 8 years ago this started. It used to be called Booktubeathon. And then once it started, this is my maybe uncharitable reading of this, but once it started to get some more sponsors behind it who maybe wanted it to have a broader appeal, it was renamed to the Reading Rush. And this was it's probably the biggest communal event we have on Booktube. And it involves prompts of like, read a book outside. That was a very controversial one this year because we're in a pandemic. Read a book outside, read a book with green on the cover, whatever. Like, there's different prompts you're trying to hit, and it's meant to be a fun communal thing. Part of the incident, let me describe the incident and then we'll talk about why, like the layers upon which this bothered me. They picked a communal reading book, and that was Such a Fun Age by, I believe, Riley Cade. Is that the author? I believe so, which I think just won the Goodreads choice for best debut. So that's exciting. And this book was I believe was picked, I think there was a voting process. So the people who were participating in the readathon chose this book. It was a very appropriate book because of all of the Black Lives Matter activism that has happened this year. And basically this is a book that centers around white women kind of having performative allyship with Black women. I think that's sort of the underlying thematic content of this book. So that was an appropriate pick. They came to the live stream where they were supposed to be discussing this book, and neither of the two hosts had read it. I've seen the footage. They were sort of just laughing about it. I get that some of that was probably nervous embarrassment, because frankly, you should be embarrassed if you're hosting something and you didn't finish reading it. I get that that was probably part of it, but the perception was just like, ha ha ha, we didn't bother reading this. And this bothers me this really, really bothers me even to this day for a few reasons. First of all, just on a professional level, like, let's just keep this purely like, you are now running a business. The Reading Rush has merch. The Reading Rush has sponsors. The Reading Rush is a money-making endeavor at this point for its creators. If you are going to address any of the prompts that you created for your own readathon, surely it should be the communal book that we are all supposed to be reading. So just on like a professional level, that bothered me, that you didn't take it seriously enough to do it. As a fellow, like as a creator, it bothered me, because if I make plans with my audience that are nowhere near as formal as an actual GD readathon that is the biggest communal event and has sponsors, I take that seriously. Like, I didn't finish I was hosting a read along of Count of Monte Cristo Cristo March, and I ended up having emergency surgery and couldn't finish it. And I had to have people in my life be like, girl, you need to let it go. It's fine. Like, it wasn't even a formal thing I was doing on my channel. It was just something I was doing casually on my Discord. And I felt guilty about that. Or you're telling me that you, as a host, it was a hospitality issue. You're a host of something and you didn't do the thing you were supposed to do to host other people, other members of your community. That bothers me, like, just as a creator and as a host of something, that's not right. But then above everything else, the optics of I believe Ariel may be Latina, I think, but at least two white passing creators, two white passing women, not reading a book that thematically is about white or white passing women being performative allies to a Black woman, is just bad. Like, it belies an underlying dissonance between what I'm sure are good intentions and stated values and actual, like, where the rubber meets the road. And that was wrong. It was wrong. And an apology was issued, and it was a non-apology. Like, and this gets into the whole business piece of this. I think that the reason why these big creators in our community and other communities cannot just come out and say they're sorry is because that's not how business works. You never actually in business rarely come out and just own it and say, like, we fucked up in this way, we're sorry, here's what we're doing to fix it. Like, a true I'm sorry is so rare to see from businesses, and that is what really is getting me, and like is the mind fuck right now I have of that Reading Rush apology was a non-apology business apology, not an actual apology from an actual community member who is sorry that they hurt other people in their community. And that really was a revealing moment to me of what it means to be a creator of that size, where it no longer is like, hey, I have viewers who watch me and who enjoy my content who I hurt, and that makes me sad or sorry or makes me want to put aside whatever business impacts I have to my readathon because of this, and just like genuinely own this and say I'm sorry and like show contrition. That really fucked me up in my head and like made me really sad for, I'm sure, the, Black women and the women of color who were hurt by that entire dynamic and who enjoy Booktube and want Booktube to be a space to relax and have fun with other book nerds. Like, isn't that what this is all supposed to be about? Like, that really hurts my heart that entire thing happened. And it was very disheartening and very upsetting to see people immediately, as soon as that non-apology came out, jump and say, oh, you're fine. You didn't even need to apologize. Or, oh, see, they said they were sorry. What more do you want? And it's like, this is not your apology. Like, this is not for you. And also, why, like, again, I've said it before, I will say it again. We don't come out of the womb woke. We don't come out of the womb perfect. We all have a journey to go on. There's room for forgiveness and there's room for moving forward, but it has to start from a real place, or else what is it? Like, so as I've gone through this, I'm like, this is the headspace I get in. I'm like, am I saying too much? Am I getting into drama where I don't need to insert myself into drama? If these were people who I knew, I would DM them. I don't know them. But I don't feel comfortable having enough of a like, I'm a mid-sized creator in our community, and not saying, I mean, I've said things on Instagram, but like, I'm trying to figure out where is the place for me to call a spade and say it is important for people in our community who are hurt by these things to know that other creators don't think some of this stuff is okay and are willing to say so publicly. I don't think this is something I have or would do for every thing that comes up, but I think I've come to a point where some of our big and what I would call mega creators, I want to feel, maybe I don't want to, I think I feel convicted is probably the right word, borrowing from my evangelical roots, to say something when these things happen. And I have these live streams, and it's not going to be every video, but those two have been on my spirit. So I felt like I just don't know. I just don't know. So, oh man. Okay, where did we get in chat? I don't even know. Okay, back to ARCs. Yeah, there's actually huge paper shortages right now. I was listening to a business podcast about like a podcast about business news, and they were talking about this, which is just really interesting. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yep. Ooh. I think we should pay attention to what people's end of the year lists look like this year. And I'll just leave it there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even get into the prompts, but the prompts were a whole thing as well. Like, I would say they did not make me feel inspired. Oh, thank you. Okay, every time I think it's Kylie Reed, and then I'm like, no, you've got it mixed up. It's Riley Cade. And then I was right the first time, and I'm always wrong. So thank you. I apologize. I apologize to Kylie, to Ms. Reed. My bad. Yeah. And like, I don't know what's in people's hearts, but I feel like your actions will tell on you eventually. So, yeah. Exactly. I don't know. I don't know what the future of that I suspect it will be a very sad moment, but I think it will be very telling to see how that event proceeds next year and how it is or is not received in the community. That will be interesting. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, I think there were a lot of ways to handle that situation that would not have been perfect, but I think would have demonstrated a higher level of awareness and like respect towards the readers involved. Yeah, and I try not to be like I tend to be like it's unprofessional or like I mean I'm a Virgo moon, so I'm very like you didn't follow the rules. So I try to keep in mind maybe not everybody thinks about things that way, but yeah. Um and I mean I'm not telling people to unsubscribe or to deplatform. It's none of that. It's just if you have a big I mean, you know, Uncle what's his name said it best, right? Like with great power comes great responsibility. The more people who are watching you, the more responsibility I think you have to be deliberate about the way you talk to people and think about things and how you act and all of that. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. If you they I that would have been a great way to handle it is to find somebody maybe there's a podcast I really like I listen to called Overdue and basically the format is one of them reads a book and then tells the other person about it. You could have done a format like that. I think that could have been an interesting discussion. So um yeah, again, it's a hospitality I mean, I'm Southern. It's a hospitality issue for me. Um yeah, I agree. Yes. It's just yeah. Okay, thank you, Fleur, for confirming that. Um, yes, and I should mention that they had read other books for like they'd met other challenges, so it wasn't like they didn't read anything. They just didn't read that book. I agree, Ashley. Um, they also didn't promote it. Oh, okay, thank you for the correction. Um, well, I mean, here's the thing. I talked about this on my Instagram stories at the time. I think part of the thing that just feels weird about the reading rush at this point is that we just have so many readathons that just frankly feel more organic and like there's more just like energy and excitement around them. It's a weird thing because I think when people get big, there can be sort of this perception of like, we love to watch people fall. Like we love to build them up and then we love to tear them down. So like, I don't want to come off as like, once you get big, you can't authentically be a part of this community. Like, I don't think that that's the case. Um, you know, for example, I think Books and Lala, she's got like 100,000 subscribers. And I think that it's very clear that she's very engaged still with her audience. I think she really likes to participate in what smaller creators are doing. I mean, I'm sure she's not perfect. None of us are perfect, but I think she's an example of like, you can be a big, like even a mega booktuber in terms of the scale of our communities and still be genuinely involved with things. But part of what's weird about the reading rush at this point is it doesn't really feel very like it's coming from a place of organic involvement in the community. And there's so many other, to your point, so many other readathons happening like pretty much year round at this point that have more energy and excitement behind them that feels a little bit, I think, more organic. I mean, it's a great question. I think sometimes these situations betray kind of a lack of empathy that really surprises me. Maybe that's the way to say it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah. There's plenty of opportunities to read Black authors, and it's not hard. There's like a lot of really great books. Like you don't even, I don't know. I guess I get a little flummoxed when people are asking specifically for Black author recommendations, like books with Black characters by Black authors, because like there's plenty. I don't know. Oh, yep. Not a good time. That's the thing. It probably was written or PR or whatever. Like it probably got, and from a business perspective, I get that, but it's this, as I've been talking about throughout this conversation, we're in this weird place where we now have parts of our community that are coming at things with a business perspective, which doesn't have to be a problem, but in situations like this, it creates a situation where it feels like a problem. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know. Like, I think I just appreciate your candor, Ashley, and sharing, because yeah, I mean, I think it should, and I don't really know where to go with folks. Like, how to say this? There are very few booktubers who read in such a way that it would not be very easy to include BIPOC, queer, just people who are different from them in the pool of authors that they're reading from. Unless you have like a very niche, like maybe the only thing you read is like Muslim theology, then like I hear you, maybe like everybody who you're reading from is mostly Muslim. Like, I mean, maybe you have like a very specific niche reading interest that prohibits this, but like in general, if you're a fantasy reader, you have plenty of authors to pick from. If you're a romance reader, you have plenty of authors to pick from. If you're a contemporary, just general content, like there is no genre of book where you don't have a lot of options. So like at some point it has to feel like you're not putting in the time, work, or you do not have the interest to try to expand the pool from which you are reading. And I mean, I feel like this sounds like I'm some sort of paragon, and like everything I read is by authors who don't, look like me or have my life experiences. I'm by no means perfect, but it's not hard to at least increase that in your reading. It really, really isn't. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't see how, but like I'm sure people are going to. And that's the part that I'm sure they're going to. Yeah, they will. I really think they will, and I just don't. Huh. Yeah. Which I think is, I just think that's disappointing. Yeah, I think that's part of the joy of reading. Is I always say I'm a reader because I'm a nosy bitch. Like I really I'm curious about other people and their experiences. Like it's boring after a while just to always read about people who are exactly like you. Yeah, I mean, and the whole like, oh no, it's fine. Yeah. It's not towards you. Is a race, it's an ethnicity, can belong to any race. Yes. Thank you for the clarification. And I'm always I'm always a little murky on, I know different people from the Latinx/Hispanic community have different perspectives on if they identify as white or like how their racial identity comes into their ethnic identity. So I definitely, I'm sure maybe didn't represent kind of her own identity in the totality or the fullness of what it is. So I appreciate that clarification or nuancing to that conversation. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people are really like, I think people want other people to do well, and like we want like I said, I do think there's a kind of venal part of our nature, and I'm definitely guilty of this sometimes, especially with my reality show stars, where like we want to build them up to watch them fall. Like I do think that is a part of human nature, but I also think people are incredibly forgiving for the most part. Like I think most people get it that, you know, we're all doing our best, but like if you don't have genuine contrition, I think you're at some point kind of taking advantage of that propensity of people to like want to see the best in you. I did not, but that is just not great. And I mean, like we have to, yeah. I try to be like, this is sometimes the conversation I'm having in my head about talking about some of these things. I don't want it to be about me, but I also like the balance between that and like, I do have a platform and I want to use it. I feel that tension. I trust that you guys, like, I hope you guys know that I am open and want to have correction in this area. So like, I welcome feedback of if I'm not balancing that well, but like, that is my nightmare. Like what a way to be a Deborah in the Nora Roberts situation recently. Like that's being a real Deborah. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry guys, I'm trying to catch up. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's our whole society. That's, yeah, thank you. That is a very important point. Part of what's upsetting about this is a lot of the folks who are speaking out and who do have things to say about this weren't necessarily following very closely to begin with. And so like what are really the consequences going to be? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, please. I mean, take a look at people's lists. I mean, I'm not saying that every single person on an end of the year list has to be in a certain, like we get into this whole like bingo aspect of diversity, which I think is also not helpful, but like it is apparent if somebody organically is reading books about or from people who are not like them. So yeah, I mean, and I want to make it clear. I don't think Ariel is like this is like a horrible person. And I think that's part of the problem is that when we call these things out, I think we have this sort of feeling of like, oh, well, they're not a terrible person, so like we need to it's not that. And I think I want to clarify. I don't think you have to be like a wholly ill-intentioned person to hurt people. So yeah, like I followed her and like I don't currently, I have in the last year or two, but you know, yeah. Yeah, the Juneteenth thing. So this is just my perspective. I do want to leave space for the fact, and this is just because I also lived in Canada at one point. I do think Americans have this expectation that everybody knows all of our holidays. So had they been American booktubers, this I think for me would have been a bigger item. I definitely, basically, I'm just saying I see both sides there. Um, you know, I again, it is a business and there's a ton of Americans who participate, so one would have thought that somebody involved would have done the math and figured that out, but that's when I can at least like I think that there was probably a genuine like, oh god, like we were not even thinking about a potential for an American holiday. That's on us. I mean, like for instance, I don't know, they're from Canada. If you were an American, I know when Canada Day is, but in the chat, I don't know if everybody here knows when Canada Day is. So I can at least see, I can see the thing there. I will say though that the subsequent pieces of events make me think that even if they were aware, maybe they wouldn't have changed their plans. But Okay, the shaded choice. Oh my gosh, I love the name of this if it's connoting what I think it does. Yeah. It's to me, it's not that you can't expect people to know about Juneteenth just generally. It's more just I know that internationally people don't always know each other's holidays. That's more my perspective on that. But I definitely, yeah, as we're seeing in the chat, I think other people have different perspectives, which I can definitely see. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point, Anne Marie, is that it had been all over Booktube. So really, maybe what this also implies or suggests is a lack of connection to the community who had been talking about Juneteenth, which gets to the overall lack of kind of organic connection to the community that I personally feel that event has at this point, where it feels much more like a business than like something that's kind of arising from what's happening in the community. So yeah. Oh yay, yeah, I like that podcast. It's fun. They have a really good episode about the rise and fall of the dinosaurs. It was really cute. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but I definitely take that point. Yeah. I mean, again, it's not like I don't think you have to feel bad for ever having liked any of her content or like potentially even supporting her in the future if there's an ability to actually like people like she can still turn this around. I don't want to like act like this is impossible to recover from, but it does require genuine contrition and a genuine like I acknowledge what I did and here's where I'm coming from and how I'm going to move forward, which I just haven't seen yet. We've been talking about Sasha Alsberg and her ARC selling and pandemic traveling, and we are currently talking about the reading rush and the debacle with the fact that they didn't actually read their community book during it. Oh, see, look at this conversation. I love it. Yeah, again, this gets into the whole business aspect of it or business piece that I think is a difficult tension, and I don't really know as a community kind of where we go with all of that. Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, everyone. Here we go. Yeah, I think it's just that it's so big. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, maybe because I'm a people pleaser, but anytime I try, I'm being incoherent here, to express just like it's difficult for me to not imagine trying to think about how to say this. I think that the lack of empathy to me shows that you're not thinking that there's actually humans on the other side of the screen. And that is a difficult mindset for me to put myself in. That being said, as my platform grows, I can at least somewhat start to understand that there are just so many people that it's hard to have a personal connection to everyone, but to not have some level of conceptualization that there are some people that you have some kind of connection with and could be hurting, that is difficult for me to kind of get my head around. Yeah, that's, I think, really well said. Because I just think that Booktube is a different place than it was even when I started 3.5 years ago. I think Booktube is so different, much less like 7 or 8 years ago. Whew. And I'm trying to be good, guys, about going to bed at a good time. So I'm gonna start to wind this down here in a few minutes. But if you're thinking to yourself, isn't Mara in the Central Time Zone where it is almost 8:30? Yes. Welcome to the joys of autoimmune disease. I'm exhausted at like 7 o'clock. It's very pathetic. Oh, thank you, Broken Spine. Also, can I just say, when it's women non-BIPOC readers who say that, I'm like, you're telling me that you're not used to relating to all the men that have been in all of these novels and all of, like, you're used to doing it for men. Can you not do it for non-white people? Like, I know you can because I'm doing it as a woman for men. So I know that you can do this. Yeah, Google is free. It is not metered, and you can just search at any time. It's very convenient that way. Yeah, it really, like, I don't know what the genre is that you have 0 options for BIPOC authors, but like, yeah. Oh, Beth coming in with it. I can't find any BIPOC authors and I don't see any. That's a great way to say it. Oh no, I lost my place in chat. Okay, so we're gonna try to keep going through here. Yeah, and I mean, you know, we all have our own like biases and, or not even biases, but just like, as an American, I'm more likely to hear about books that are by American authors. Like, that's natural, but like, it doesn't take that much work to try just a little bit. Like, dip your toes just outside just a little bit. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm when people ask how they can read more diversely, I would honestly tell you the best thing you can do is to start tracking it, which sounds like it can go the bingo card diversity bingo direction. It doesn't have to. I just think it gives you a level of awareness of like, oh, I only read like 5% authors who were, you know, whatever demographic you're trying to expand your reading from. Like, oh, okay, well, maybe next year I can try to get to 10%. Like, that's how you make actual changes, just like by figuring out where you actually are. And it really, like, once you are conscious of it, it's not that hard to get things on your radar. That's me. Yeah, I don't want to be a Deborah. How do you feel about, yes, I didn't even get into this, but that really bothers me. And that's part of why I've been talking about this on Instagram stories, but like, this is my biggest platform. And so like some of the stuff I mean, I talk about this sometimes in live stream, but like, I think just to myself committing of like, no, on my biggest platform, I need to start being more intentional about saying this stuff. Cause I do think it's a total like cop out to, you know, Dr. Mike it and put your apology on your smallest platform. Like, that's just BS, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're on Booktube, you can get plenty of recommendations. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, Talia Hibbert. She is so great. Okay. Yeah, and I hadn't thought about that. I think that is a good point. I was thinking more of it from the international perspective, but I appreciate you guys challenging me and helping me think about that a little differently. Yeah, I agree. Whew. Well, you can follow them on Twitter. It becomes apparent pretty quickly. Oh. See, I'm trying to. Yeah, and you know, again, the mega booktubers, I don't want to like tear them down just by virtue of the fact that they're big. You know, I don't think being, you know, having a big platform makes you like inauthentic or unable to be connected to the community. I just think that it's harder and you've got to be more deliberate about things. Hello. Okay. Whew. Trying to catch up here. Yeah, talking about the platform size. Yes. Or yeah, on the Reading Rush channel would have been appropriate. I think she should have done it on her biggest platform. Okay, I'm trying to catch up here. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's been cool seeing some creators, you know, getting more traction this year, but like, yeah, I mean, I would love to see more mega booktubers who you know, are just a little different than the ones we have, or like, I don't know, just continuing to evolve who has influence in our community, I think is important. Yes, they did. I didn't even get into that. I didn't even get into all the prompt stuff, but oh wait, what did Billy say? Yeah, that is a problem. As Ashley said, if you're going to subscribe to people and you're doing it because you just want to feel good about yourself, that actually doesn't help them. My recommendation, what I do for creators who I like, but I don't necessarily connect to their content and I don't know that I'll watch it all that often, what I will do instead is go follow them on their other socials to increase their other social numbers. And then I will also follow them on Goodreads, because that also, all of those things can help with somebody's kind of overall opportunities that they can get. But if you subscribe to them and don't watch, it actually does hurt. So, and also in terms of content, Ashley is doing Vlogmas this year. So she has a video for you every damn day, and she has a job and a baby. So like, I don't know what else you need in terms of pure dedication to giving you content this Christmas season. So Jess, like if you, yeah, go subscribe to Jess. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Danny. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, for real. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Dr. Mike. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't know. I jokingly put this in Mary Ness's chat, but I was like, have these people never actually had to give a real apology? Because sometimes, like, it just feels so... It's like in your real life, do you never have to just sincerely apologize to people? Maybe not. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, I've been calling mega booktubers like the ones in our community. Like in other genres of YouTube, this is people with like, you know, 5-10 million subscribers. But on Booktube, just with the scale of our community, we don't have any, you know, creators at that level. But people who kind of go over 100,000 subscribers, I think of as sort of a mega booktuber, of like, they're the closest thing we have to like the household names of booktubing. So yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you're not going to like everyone. Like, that's just a part of things, but I'm trying, man. I'm trying to catch up. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't vague tweet your apology, if you like, you need to, if you're going to apologize, actually just come out and apologize. I do like Books and Lala. And I think considering the situation she was in terms of her existing relationship, I thought she handled that situation with a good amount of grace, of like actually talking about it on her main platform. And then I think she's followed up by trying to platform smaller readathons from different BIPOC booktubers, which I think was her way of showing kind of where she stood on that. So you know. Yes. Yes. Ashley's content is so good. If you like me, you would like Ashley, because we have pretty darn similar taste in a lot of things. So, okay, guys, I'm gonna start. We all agree that Ashley is killing it. Oh my gosh, I'm so like the chat is just going so fast. Yes, Rachel. Yes, she does. She's an omnivore like I am. Basically, we're just all agree. Like, if you take nothing from this, go follow Jess Owens. Go follow Ashley of the Bookish Realm. Okay. Bye, Rachel. Good to know. She is a librarian. She's like a professional book nerd. Don't listen to me. Listen to Ashley. Let's see here. Hello. Yeah, I'm sorry you feel that way as like a non-apology apology. Like if your boyfriend says he's sorry you feel that way, like dump his ass. No, I'm just teasing, but honestly, maybe think about that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, hello. What, with 500,000 subscribers? Wow. Well, the more you know. Shade Tree Reads is getting called out for being a lurker, but I do this all the time. I'm so terrible about commenting on things. I watch so many people and they have no idea. It's awesome. Or awful, sorry. I do think Buzzwordathon looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. I think of 20,000, like between 15 and 50-ish as being mid-size at this point on Booktube. Interesting. Okay. Another recommendation. Yes, you are. You get paid to help people with books. That makes you a professional book nerd. A degree in not in library science, but in professional book nerd science. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Jess also has an adorable French bulldog that appears in videos. Okay. Oh. Yes, I appreciate that. I love everybody who has, even if I totally disagree with people's opinions, I just like people who, can articulate their opinions strongly. Jess is Jess Owens, and I have the video I mentioned linked in the description, I think already. If not, it will be there by tomorrow. So you should definitely go check her out. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I like Cindy. I almost like her just as sort of like a comedy or lifestyle channel, because we just don't read anything that's similar at this point, but okay. Yes, Nigel is so cute. I think it's just called Jess Owens. Yeah, it's true. Me and Danny are opposites, but we can still have good conversation. Though we did agree on the hunting party recently, so there you go. Okay, whew, guys, I think I finally caught up, and I went over my mental allotted time by 5 minutes, but we got there. I hope that the spirit of this came off okay. I mean, people are going to take things how they're going to take them. I should not try to spend my energy trying to manage people's perceptions, but my heart here is I love this community. Like I said, I talk to somebody from Booktube, like texting or whatever, or DMing with them pretty much every day. I love this community. This community has kept me sane this year during quarantine. And like, I want to be a good custodian of the platform I have. I don't want to call people out. Like, I hope you guys know that's not my vibe, but I also believe in accountability. And I think having a healthy community means being able to make it a place where everybody is welcome, and where, like, I would love for us to be the model YouTube community where we can apologize sincerely and move forward constructively. And that would be amazing. Like, that's what I want, is for us to be able to, like, treat each other as other people on the sides of the screen and make this a community that is good for everyone, or as many people as possible, and not let the discomfort of having some of these conversations be at the expense of people who are coming, who, like, already get shit on by our society and are coming to Booktube to have fun. This should be a fun place for everyone. So that's the spirit with which I offer this. You guys are so great. Thank you. Yes, I need to go get some sleep. Actually, me and my friend are about to watch an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, because I gave her for Christmas All Star Season 2, and we are watching it together. So I'm gonna go get in bed, and we're gonna watch another episode of RuPaul's Drag Race together. Thank you all for your feedback, and yeah, like, I mean, let's make this conversation ongoing. I enjoy respectful dialogue. I appreciate everyone's feedback. And yes, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe out there. Viva la RuPaul. Love y'all. And do we have live stream next week? Yes, next week is the last live stream of the year, because then we're getting into full List Like Woe time. So come hang out one more time next week. And love you guys. Have a great night. Bye.